Hi, welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener, at least for now, because we are still looking for our new home. The other place that we went and looked at, unfortunately, did not work out. At least it hasn't yet. We still have a possibility of an offer, but what I'm bringing you today is just an update on my seeds that I had planted. We went through and planted, oh my goodness, so many tomato plants, seeds, and so many pepper seeds. So much going on in here. Of course, a lot of them have not came up yet because it has not been but just a few days. But in that few days time, these are some of the seeds that I had collected myself, rather than planting from a container or from a package. These were the San Marzano tomatoes that I had saved for some seed from the last season, even though they did really, really poorly and they had some issues. I did go ahead and save some seeds, and all of them are coming up. I put 4 seeds in each little section, and every single one of them is coming up. So it's pretty amazing what kind of germination quality you get just from some saved seed. And these were some super beefsteak. Now, these did come from a package, but all of them are also coming up. I've got 100% germination on these guys. And then I had some Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes. I've got a few of those that are up so far. They're a little bit more shaded here in the back, so it's unfortunately that they have not all came up as yet, but they most likely will. So we've got several of the Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes up. And then we have some of the black Krim, and it looks like we've got almost 100% germination on those guys. And then we have some of the Berkeley tie-dye coming up as well. Looks like we'll have really good germination on these. And yes, they are looking a little bit bent over because they're going towards the light, but what I do is I come in here and I just move them around so that makes the stems a little bit stronger, as if it is wind or a breeze that's hitting them. So I have to pause the video from time to time because I do have my grandson here in the background. I do watch him while my daughter is at school. She's at University of Wyoming, as well as she works 2 jobs. So I am babysitting during the day, almost every single day for her. Anyway, we don't have a whole lot of the other things that are up yet because, again, it does normally take about 7 to 21 days for germination on especially peppers and things like that. And we have only had the tomatoes coming up so far, which is kind of unusual. They usually take about the same time as the peppers do, and they are already coming up like crazy. And in fact, I'll show you something else. This is the original tray of seeds that I had planted. I had some petunias in here. These are all mostly my flower seeds, and I've had some Montica tomatoes in here, as well as some strawberries that we've changed out from the other plants that came up, which were the basil. Those have already been distributed out, but we do have petunias in here, and I had replanted some more seeds in here, and we've got so many of those coming up now, and those came up a lot quicker than the first time around. And we do have some lemon mint in here, and I only had a few of the lemon mint come up originally, but it looks like that now we are having several more come up, and this has been at least 3 weeks that they've been planted, because we started these at least at the end of January. So it's actually been almost a month that they've been in, but yet we've got some more that are coming up just right there. That one was not up. That one is coming up. We have some more back there that are coming up. And I'm not sure if we'll have any come up in this one. I think I may have run out of seed on this one. So anyway, we got more petunias that are planted here. And of course, we've got our pansies here. The pansies all came up. And then we just, a couple of them then died off because sometimes they're just not real strong, pansies and things like that when they first come up. So then we transplanted one out of some of the ones that had doubles in them so we could go ahead and get that filled out. And we've got a couple of seeds coming up here and there from other things like sweet marjoram, things like that. I haven't seen any savory come up as yet because that one is usually a really long time coming up. If it does come up at all, I've not had great success on that one. But if it doesn't, we have more seed available, so we'll try that again. And I may need to get some new seed on the savory because that particular package of savory got accidentally put in the washing machine. So that may be why that they are having issues coming up. But we do have a lot of other things coming up. We've got some of the lavender that's coming up now. Here's a lavender right here. So we got quite a bit of things coming up in the original container that we planted. That's been a month planted. So quite a lot coming up in there. But like I said, things normally take a while to come up. And that one is proof of that because this one has been planted a month. And we have just now some of the lemon mint coming up. So it's kind of surprising that this one with the tomatoes is just knocking it out of the park already. And then over here, my grandson had planted some little containers himself, and they have not came up at all yet. So he may have planted them a little bit too deeply or something like that. We'll keep an eye on them and see. But it looks like he might have planted them just a little bit too deeply. And if that's the case, they either may not come up or they may take a very long time to come up. But hopefully he'll get something in there. Now we have another container here that I just finished off a couple of days ago of brassicas and a couple of other things in here. Some tomatoes in here as well. Now this one, let me go ahead and get the lid off of this one. And this one has brassicas in it. Okay, we have mammoth red cabbage, Brussels sprouts, Big Jim's peppers are in there. So we do have some peppers and some tomatoes. We've got the Sun Sugar Gold, some Tiny Tim tomatoes, and some Old German tomatoes, and then we have some kaleidoscope peppers, and then we have some flowers in here, the ageratum, which is actually floss flower. I should have just written floss flower on those. So we've got quite a few of seeds in here, and looks like, of course, we have our brassicas coming up first, because that's normally what comes up first, but in the case of the other container, it looked like we have a lot of tomatoes that were coming up, which was surprising. But you'll notice over here that these tomatoes have not even began to think about coming up yet. So that's the normal germination rate, about 7 to 21 days for those. This container's been prepared for about 4 or 5 days now, and it's already knocking it out of the park with the cabbages that are coming up. There's just an immense amount of cabbages coming up, so I'll have to separate those out. I'm going to try my best this season not to waste any plants whatsoever. That's a challenge for myself. Instead of disposing of extra plants, I'm going to try to save every single plant that comes up. Give them every single one a chance, even some that don't look particularly the best. Now, if they look like they have some deformities, then I might get rid of those. But if they are good looking plants, just because they're an extra doesn't mean they get cold. So you can see all of our mammoth red cabbages are coming up. These are going to be a giant variety of red cabbage. They're supposed to get about 9 to 12 pounds, which is a lot larger than the typical red cabbage gets. And they do take a little bit of a longer season. That's one of the reasons why I'm getting an earlier start on these. And then we've got the Deciso broccoli that's coming up first. And then we've got the Danish ballhead that is starting to come up. You can barely see them coming up right there. So the Danish ballhead is a larger cabbage as well. They get anywhere between 9 to 12 pounds typically, but can get 25 pounds or more. And they are a great cabbage and the typical cabbage that's used for kraut. So that was one of the things I was looking for, was I do like kraut, and I like kraut with caraway seeds in it. So we got some of that particular variety of cabbage started. And then we've got another container up here of artichokes and some more super sauce tomatoes and things like that. And as you can see, they have not came up at all as yet. And that may take a while on those, because normally artichoke take about 21 days to even start coming up. And of course, I don't use any type of growing lights or anything. Everything is in a south-facing growing room. I get plenty of sunshine, as you can see. But for seeds to germinate, doesn't really need sun. You can actually put a cover on them, put them in the dark, and just put a heating pad or something like that with them, and they'll come up that way. We've had a lot of success doing that with lemon seeds and some other things. But yeah, we've got lots and lots of germination quality going on with the cabbages and broccoli in here. I'm surprised I'm not seeing any of the Brussels sprouts as yet, but I'm sure that they will come along very shortly. Don't see any of the peppers as yet. Again, that takes normally 7 to 21 days, sometimes a little bit longer. I've had peppers take a month to come up, but then when they started coming up, they just came up like crazy. So anyway, we've got pretty good germination going on with everything. We've got some transplants going on of some rooted plants that we had done some cuttings of. These are fuchsia. You can actually eat the berries of fuchsia after they bloom, but I've never done so. I just use them for decorative properties and the beautiful flowers. So those got rooted. Those were rooted within 3 days, and I went ahead and got those transplanted in. And we've had some tomatoes that we've transplanted that were from the first batch of seedlings. These are the orange hat tomatoes. I only kept 2 out of those because that's all I need. All the rest of them were gifted. And then, of course, we've still got our basil and things that we had growing all through the winter time. And they are actually perking up quite a bit and putting quite a bit more leaves on. So we're going to try to get those to bush out a little bit more. We've got a couple more cuttings from the fuchsia that we are getting rooted right now. This one has roots, but they're not big enough yet. Let me show you what they look like when they start rooting. See, they're not quite big enough yet to get it transferred into a container. And the other one has not started rooting yet. But once those get rooted, we'll get those transplanted. And then I have some cuttings from the original Kellogg's Breakfast Tomato. These are the suckers that were on there. I cut those and got those rooted. And we've got those transplanted into containers now. And then, of course, we have some of our mints left over from winter, from basically spring, summer last season, which are just bushing out like crazy now because they think it's time to get growing. So we've got our marjoram here. That's the original marjoram that I had, and it's really needs a haircut at this point. And the original mints and the original lavender and my original basils. And I actually planted some more basil in here, and you can probably see some of those coming up right there. I'm going to plant some more in here because I had some come up and then they kind of died back. And it's what it is it's hard to keep this upper section moist because you don't want to have it draining out so much. I've actually got some water in the container down here right now, and that'll need to be absorbed back up. But it's hard to keep the surface damp at this point, so I may need to add some more soil into this one. And the original basil that's in here, it's gotten leggy through the winter, but it's still providing plenty of leaves. And we've had some of it actually go to seed that we've collected seed off of. So anyway, all of those are doing very, very well. So let me know what seeds that you're starting wherever you are and what gardening zone that you're in. I'd love to see that in the comments down below. And let me know what you like about what's coming up about the new growing season. Anyway, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out, and we'll see you in the next one.